We speak thousands of words each day, words to friends, to colleagues, to strangers in passing. But how often do we consider the words we speak to ourselves? The inner dialogue that plays on repeat, sculpting the contours of our experiences. Most people drift through life unaware of this truth, oblivious to the fact that their own voice is scripting the very reality they live in. Yet this is a law as certain as gravity. What you assume to be true in your inner world will inevitably take form in your outer world. This is not speculation. This is not philosophy confined to the pages of ancient texts. It is the very fabric upon which your existence is woven. Neville Goddard taught that imagination is the only reality, that the world you see around you is nothing more than a projection of the world within you. Your dominant assumptions, those persistent inner dialogues, are shaping every experience you encounter. Consider how the same patterns follow some people wherever they go. Cycles of financial struggle, failed relationships, or self-doubt. They believe life is unfair, that they are unlucky, that success belongs to others. Their inner conversation reinforces these assumptions, and life mirrors them back. But this cycle can be broken. If you truly grasped the power of your self-talk, you would guard it as though your life depended on it. Because in truth, it does. Your mind writes the script of your future through the words you tell yourself in silence. Ask yourself, what is my inner dialogue saying about my abilities? What is my mind whispering about my future? Am I reinforcing capability or limitations? If your answer is anything less than empowering, understand this. You are not bound to this script. You can rewrite it. Neville taught that assuming a new state of being is not a process of struggle, but of belief. If you persist in the assumption that you already are the person you wish to be, the world must conform to that assumption. It is law. But how do we begin? For the next 3 days, I challenge you to become hyper-aware of your inner conversations. Observe them as though you were listening to someone else's voice. Take note of how often you tell yourself, "I can't afford that. I'll never succeed at this. I'm not good enough." And now, with full authority over your own being, change the narrative. Instead of, "I can't afford this," say, "Wealth is flowing to me in increasing amounts." Instead of, "I'm not good enough," say, "I am becoming the greatest version of myself." What you hold in consciousness must manifest, for consciousness is the only reality. This truth, taught by Neville Goddard and echoed in Scripture, reveals that your past, present, and future are but states of consciousness waiting to be chosen, because it can and it will. The only question is, will you dare to assume the life you desire? Everything in your life, from the state of your health to the quality of your relationships, is a direct reflection of one thing: your assumptions. Not your fleeting thoughts, not your occasional wishes, but the deep-seated beliefs you carry about yourself and your place in the world. Neville Goddard called this the law of assumption, the principle that what you assume to be true with full conviction will manifest in your external world. It is not hope. It is not mere positive thinking. It is knowing, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it becomes as real to you as your present circumstances. Most assume struggle and receive it. But what if you could step into a new belief? Neville taught that the key to manifestation is to feel as if you already have what you desire, to inhabit the state of the wish fulfilled. This is not about pretending. It is about shifting your awareness, relocating your consciousness into the reality where your desire is already realized. Like tuning a radio, you don't beg for the signal, you align with it. Your desires already exist, waiting for you to tune in through your inner state. This alignment begins with your inner conversations. Right now, even as you read these words, a conversation is happening within you. You may not be speaking aloud, but your mind is engaged in a dialogue, replaying past conversations, anticipating future encounters, narrating the events of your life. Most people are entirely unaware of this dialogue. They allow it to run unchecked, unaware that it is creating their reality in real time. Consider this. If you constantly rehearse conflicts in your mind, if you replay past arguments or anticipate future confrontations, you are unknowingly creating more of the same. Your subconscious accepts these inner conversations as directives, organizing reality accordingly. There was once a woman who struggled with a coworker. No matter what she did, their interactions were filled with tension. She assumed that he disliked her, that he was difficult, and every day she reinforced this belief through her inner speech. He never listens to me. He's always trying to undermine my ideas. Working with him is impossible. She did not realize that with every repetition of these statements, she was cementing this reality into place. Then she made a decision. She changed the script for 3 days. We work well together. He values my input. Every conversation we have is productive and respectful. She did not confront him. She did not force a change. She simply shifted her assumption and lived from the new belief. By the 3rd day, something astonishing happened. The next time they spoke, he responded differently, less defensive, more open. Over the following weeks, their working relationship transformed. Nothing had changed externally, except everything had changed. This is the power of inner speech. Every assumption you hold, every word you say to yourself, is like a brick in the structure of your reality. Some have built walls around their potential, using phrases like, "I'm not good enough. Things never work out for me. I'll always struggle with money." These words are not harmless. They are not passive. They are blueprints, laying the foundation for your life experience. But just as a wall is built, it can be dismantled. For the next 3 days, become vigilant. Listen to your inner conversations. The moment you catch yourself affirming a limitation, pause and rewrite the sentence. Instead of, "I never have enough money," say, "Abundance is constantly flowing into my life." Instead of, "I'm always overlooked," say, "I am valued, recognized, and appreciated." Instead of, "I don't know how to succeed," say, "I am learning, growing, and stepping into my highest potential." This is not wishful thinking. It is reprogramming. The first time you say it, it may feel hollow, unnatural. But repetition is the key. Just as a single drop of water can, over time, carve through solid rock, your new words, spoken persistently, will dissolve the old barriers in your mind. The law of assumption is simple. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled, and it must harden into fact. Your life is waiting for you to claim it. Your reality is waiting for you to assume it into being. So, I ask you, what do you assume about yourself? What do you assume about life? And, more importantly, what will you assume from this moment forward? The choice is yours. Assume wisely, for the universe will not give you what you wish for. It will give you what you believe to be true. The words you speak to yourself are not mere sounds. They are the architects of your destiny, the invisible hands sculpting your reality. Most people live unaware that they are the authors of their own experience, trapped in patterns of thought they never chose. But today, you awaken to a profound truth. You can change the script. And in just 3 days, you will begin to see the evidence unfold before your eyes. 3 days. It is not an arbitrary number. It is a cycle of transformation. For just as steel must be heated before it can be reshaped, the mind, too, requires a moment of intense focus, a disruption in the old way of thinking to allow something new to emerge. For the next 3 days, you will take full control of your inner dialogue. You will observe, redirect, and embody a new way of being. This is not a passive process. It requires awareness, persistence, and embodiment. And if you commit, if you remain unwavering in your assumption, you will find yourself standing at the threshold of a new reality. Let us begin. Day 1. Awareness and interruption. Before you can change your self-talk, you must first become aware of it. Most people move through life unconsciously, allowing their habitual thoughts to dictate their emotions, actions, and ultimately, their circumstances. But today, you take a step back. You become the observer of your own mind. Every time you think, "I'm not good enough," or "this is too difficult," you catch it in the moment, as if stopping a river midstream. You do not fight the thought. You do not judge it. You simply notice it, and then you replace it. If you catch yourself thinking, "I always fail at this," you stop, you interrupt the flow, and you say, "Success is unfolding for me in ways I cannot yet see." This process is not easy. The old mind will resist. It will whisper, "This is nonsense. Nothing is changing." But understand this, you are not fighting your old beliefs. You are replacing them. Just as a radio does not argue with static, it simply tunes into a new frequency. And today, you are tuning into a new reality. Day 2. Persistence in new assumptions. The second day is the most crucial. This is where most people falter. Yesterday, you planted the seed of new thought, but today, the old mind fights back. It tries to drag you back into the familiar. This isn't working. You're just fooling yourself. Your life hasn't changed. Look around. But today, you persist. Neville Goddard taught that the greatest test in manifestation is faith in unseen reality, the ability to believe in the truth of your assumption, even when your senses show no evidence of change. You may not yet see the transformation outwardly, but something is happening beneath the surface. The river is shifting course. The soil is breaking open. The seed is beginning to take root. The subconscious mind is malleable, but it resists at first. The old assumptions have been embedded for years, perhaps decades, but they are not set in stone. Imagine a sculptor carving a masterpiece. The first strikes of the chisel do not reveal the final form, but with every stroke, the old shape disappears, and something new begins to emerge. You are sculpting your mind, and today, you refuse to drop the chisel. Day 3. Embodiment of the new self by. The third day, something miraculous happens. Your mind, once resistant, begins to accept the new dialogue as truth. The words you once forced yourself to repeat now feel natural. The self-talk that once felt foreign now feels familiar. The assumptions you chose now feel like absolute reality. This is the tipping point, the embodiment of a new self. Neville taught that there is a profound moment in every transformation where the assumption is no longer something you tell yourself. It becomes who you are. At this point, you no longer say, "I am becoming successful." You simply know, "I am successful." You no longer say, "Love is coming to me." You simply assume, "I am loved, deeply and fully." You do not hope for change. You do not wish for it. You live as though it has already happened. And then it does. But this is not the end of your transformation. It is the beginning. If 3 days could shift your self-talk, imagine what 3 weeks could do. Imagine what 3 months could create. Reality is a mirror, endlessly reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. These ancient words carry a profound truth. The power of creation lies in consciousness itself. Your inner conversation is not mere thought. It is the very voice of creation speaking through you. What you hold in consciousness must manifest, for consciousness is the only reality. This truth, taught by Neville Goddard and echoed in Scripture, reveals that your past, present, and future are but states of consciousness waiting to be chosen. And God said, "Let there be light." Just as the divine word created worlds, your consciousness creates your reality. The past is not carved in stone. It is as malleable as clay in the hands of your imagination. Neville taught this through the story of his brother Victor's transformation. When faced with military service rejection, instead of accepting defeat, Victor lived in the end, imagining his honorable discharge papers. Reality reshaped itself to match his assumption. To practice revision, enter the theater of your mind each night. Select a scene from your day that requires rewriting. Feel the naturalness of your desired outcome. Fall asleep in the joy of this new reality. Remember, with God, all things are possible. Your consciousness is that very God power in expression. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction. The moment before sleep is your gateway to the divine. Your consciousness, stripped of daily resistance, becomes pure receptivity. This is why Solomon received his wisdom in dream state, and why Jacob saw his ladder to heaven while sleeping on a stone. Neville called this entering the state akin to sleep. Here, plant the seed of your desire. Feel your body becoming heavy with sleep. Know that your consciousness is God's consciousness. Feel the gratitude of your wish fulfilled. Let this be your last waking thought. As you drift into sleep, whisper the words of the psalmist, "I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety." Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This biblical truth reveals that imagination, when saturated with feeling, becomes the reality of what is imagined. Consider Moses, who had to see the promised land in his mind long before his people reached it. Or Noah, who built an ark on dry land, living in the reality of rain that had not yet fallen. Remember Neville's words, "What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you become." These techniques are not mere mental exercises. They are your divine inheritance. For you are not just imagining better scenarios. You are awakening to your true nature as a creative being. Know ye not that ye are gods? This biblical question reveals your true identity. You are not bound by what was, nor limited by what seems to be. You are the operant power, the awareness, the I am that can choose any state. Practice these techniques not as one who begs, but as one who knows. For the kingdom of heaven is within you, and it manifests as your inner conversation made visible. Tonight, as you rest your head upon your pillow, remember, you are not bound by time, space, or circumstance. You are bound only by the assumptions you choose to believe. Choose wisely, for you are choosing what you will meet in the world of Caesar. And remember always, all things are possible to him that believeth. You have spent your life speaking reality into existence. Every success, every challenge, every moment of joy or struggle. It has all been a reflection of your inner conversations. The difference now is that you are aware. You are no longer a passive observer of your thoughts. You are their master. Right now, across the globe, there are others just like you. People who are discovering this truth, applying these principles, changing their lives one thought at a time. You are not alone. You are part of a movement, a shift in consciousness, a revolution of the mind. Every time you declare your power, someone else somewhere is doing the same. Every time you assume your success, another person is assuming theirs. Together, you are rewriting the collective story of what is possible, and the world will reflect it. Now, it is time to make your declaration. Say it aloud. Say it as though the universe is listening, because it is. I commit to these 3 days. I commit to speaking words of power. I commit to creating my new reality. Feel the power of these words as you say them. This is not a wish. This is not a hope. This is a command. From this moment forward, you will never again speak against yourself. From this moment forward, you will never again affirm limitations. From this moment forward, you will speak only in the language of success, of abundance, of infinite possibility. You are not waiting for your new reality. You are speaking it into existence, right now, in this moment, with this very breath. Your transformation begins now. The power is in your words. The time is this moment. Your new life awaits. If these words have awakened something within you, if you now understand the power you hold over your reality, do not keep this truth to yourself. Subscribe and share this message with someone who is ready to step into their power, someone who needs to hear that their future is not written in fate, but in the words they speak to themselves.